promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Africa Today. Fogham, where you can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Africa Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.africtoday.com. Africa Today, the best of digital TV. ESYDA returned to play summer clinics. Recreation, Tuesday and Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. Travel team, EDP, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Time, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Free mask and water bottle. Register today at esYDA.org. Email info@esYDA. Phone 248-765-9369. Office 301-800-7848. Toll free 800-995-5532. Free registration for all summer clinics. All new players need buy uniforms. We're following COVID-19 soccer guidelines. Small group practice with 9 players and 1 coach. For more information, go to esYDA.org.
Welcome to Africa Today, your digital TV platform. You're watching Harriet Shangarai with Community Update. Here, we're going to be discussing important and vital information which you need to know and act upon so that our communities can be empowered with, we all know that knowledge is power, and this is what we want to convey, making sure that everyone is informed. We're going to start with census. Census is vital. We want to make sure everyone has completed their census. We'll share this information further with you during the week. We also want to talk about COVID-19, making sure you are aware and know where to get the COVID tested. If you've been exposed or you believe you need a COVID test, you can call the helpline. We want to talk about reopening. As we discuss continuously, we have to continue wearing our masks. This is how we can prevent and minimize transmission. We also want to talk about hand washing. We also want to talk about social distancing. All these are measures that we can take as a community to make sure that we minimize exposure as well as transmission of COVID-19. We want to teach our young children and our family members the importance of hand washing. Nothing can beat that. Hand wash is vital. Whether there's COVID or not, we want to keep up with hand washing. We also want to talk about food distribution that are available in our communities. These are resources that come to our communities, whether during the week or over the weekend, but we want to make sure you're able to take advantage of them. We're also going to talk about opportunities such as job opportunity, grants for business and small business owner in our community, as well as how we can help you navigate various resources and also be able to be part of the community by volunteering your time, so together we can rise and healthy we remain as we navigate through the pandemic. Thank you very much. You're watching Africa Today with Harriet Shangarai and Community Update. Thank you.
Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Africa Today. Fogham, where you can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Africa Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.africtoday.com. Africa Today, the best of digital TV.
Hello, evening, and welcome again to American Africans United and Africa Today. I am your host, Dr. Yvette Butler Yaboa, and my co-host, the Invisible Man, is here today. And first, I want to just read a little bit about why we do these shows as far as American African United. Because today we have a very, very exciting and interesting show. And we want to make sure that people know the mission of why we're doing this. The mission of American Africans United is to bring together African immigrants, African Americans, and Afro Caribbeans and across the diaspora here with others here of African descent in the United States. We want to be able to fully express our talents, capabilities, and pursue opportunities and participation in the American dream. We also want to make sure that we are politically, we are educationally, and also have citizenship opportunities for those of us here in United States. So without further ado, I'm going to tell you a little bit what we're going to talk about today. Today, we're going to talk about Black wealth creation. We have two wonderful, wonderful entrepreneurs and guest speakers for you today. Remember, you can call in. So the call-in number will be on your screen. So you can make sure you get that number if you want to call in. We will start taking calls at about 7:30. This will be an hour-long show, but you can still call in. Our first speaker is going to be Nelson Davey. Nelson Davey was born and raised in New York City. His career spans to one of the largest accounting firms in the world, working with the United States Senate to currently owning and operating a commercial insurance brokerage firm called Hudson Benefits Consulting. He currently serves as the treasurer for the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce and leads the Global Opportunity Affinity Group, a cohort of the chamber that supports the growing numbers of individuals interested and involving in Pan-African investments. And I'm really excited to say that both these individuals got to go to Ghana with us. So another person is Michael Campbell, JD, just got his license. I'm so excited about this. He just got his law degree, and you probably have saw Mr. Campbell before. He was my first guest when we first opened these shows, and I want to thank you again, Mr. Campbell, for coming on board. He is a licensed insurance and real estate broker with over 20 years of experience in insurance, real estate, and mortgage loan business. His area of operation expands through the United States, and he lives in California. Michael is a seasonal business professional. He's an accomplished entrepreneur, owning several companies that provide a multitude of products and services. His last venture is Firebrand Services and LLC, which was launched with his son, and actually I'd say my nephew. Want to say Michael is my nephew with my nephew, also Michael Campbell Jr. In addition to his license held in the state of California, Michael also holds an insurance license in Arizona, Louisiana, Georgia, and Maryland, accompanied by his Bachelor of Science in Finance from California, the State University of Stanislaus, and his JD degree with a business law and certification from the University of San Francisco School of Law. Michael Campbell is well equipped to assist clients with many essential services, including home buying, selling, mortgage loans, property, auto insurance, health insurance,
Okay.
and business
Is
strategic
that good?
planning. So we're going to show a real quick video because we want to show you this video because a lot of people think that Black wealth
I don't hear
creation
any audio of Dr.
is
Butler though.
impossible or that it wasn't possible. So please check out this video, and this is going to set the
I
stage
don't hear
for
Dr.
our
Butler's audio.
discussion tonight. Can you hear me? Are we having any technical difficulties?
No, I hear you now.
I can hear
How
you.
you, Dr. Butler? How you, Dr. Butler?
Just how wealthy was Black Wall Street? Well, today we're going to find out. The stories of Greenwood's prosperity became legend in the Black community, and in fact, in the whole world. The creation of the powerful Black community known as Black Wall Street was intentional. In 1906, O.W. Gurley, a wealthy African-American from Arkansas, moved to Tulsa and purchased over 40 acres of land that he made sure was only sold to other African-Americans. The young entrepreneur had just resigned from a presidential appointment under President Grover Cleveland in order to strike out on his own. Mr. Gurley became a multi-millionaire, and he was the owner of several businesses, including his prized possession, which was a hotel. He also provided an opportunity for those who migrated from the harsh oppression of Mississippi. Another important visionary who contributed to the success of Black Wall Street was Mr. J.B. Stratford. J.B. Stratford had graduated from Indiana University with a law degree and had moved to Greenwood to purchase various land vacancies in the area. After buying these vacant spaces, he would then sell them to African-American residents for redevelopment so that these empty spaces could be transformed into residential houses and profitable businesses. By 1921, Mr. Stratford had been considered one of the wealthiest in the country, as he owned numerous properties in Greenwood and even had his hotel named after him, the Stratford Hotel. O.W. was a subscriber to the philosophies of Booker T. Washington, while J.B. was a follower of the more radical W.E.B. Du Bois. Nonetheless, their differences aside, the two men began to develop an all-black district in the unincorporated stretch of land north of Tulsa's train station. O.W. and J.B. both became rich as the oil industry boomed in Tulsa and hundreds of African Americans immigrated to Greenwood. The 40 acres that were purchased resulted in a thriving community that populated a 35 square block district. There were over 600 businesses, and on Black Wall Street were attorneys, real estate agents, dentists, pilots, architects, musicians and singers, entrepreneurs, doctors, pharmacists, dry cleaners, plumbers, barbers, hairdressers, professors and teachers, nurses, bankers, newspaper editors, among many other professions who offered their services in the neighborhood. A dollar circulated 36 to 100 times, and it remained in the Greenwood district almost a year before leaving. To this day, no other community has been able to duplicate that type of circulation. There are communities today, however, where the dollar stays in about 30 days and 45 days, but no other community, as has been said, has ever been able to match that type of circulation. Although it wasn't the only one, there were prominent black business districts in Durham, North Carolina, Richmond, Virginia, and Rosewood, Florida. The people of Greenwood achieved a level of black economic success and self-determination that had never existed before in the United States. Less than 60 years removed from slavery, to put that in perspective. Despite racial discrimination and Jim Crow segregation, the Greenwood district offered proof that black entrepreneurs were capable of creating abundant wealth. When left alone, our ancestors thrived. And one such example is this. In the entire state of Oklahoma, there were only 2 airports. Yet 6 black families owned their own private planes in the District of Black Wall Street. Wow, imagine that. Folks, think about that for a second. There were 2 airports in the entire state of Oklahoma, yet 6 families own private planes. What an accomplishment. Many of the homes had indoor plumbing before those in the white areas did. Booker T. Washington actually coined it Negro Wall Street. It was also known at that time as Little Africa. What made Black Wall Street truly special is that it was a place an ordinary person can go, such as a sharecropper, and have a respectable life, find decent paying work, and hope for a better life for his or her children. With oil men relocating to Tulsa, the resulting high demand for domestics enabled blacks to attain unheard of wages. Maids earned $20 to $25 a week, chauffeurs earned $15, Gardeners earned $20. Janitors, shoe shiners, and porters earned around $10. Domestics made up almost 2/3 of Greenwood's population, the remainder being professionals and business owners, whom the maids and chauffeurs hoped their children could imitate one day. As you can see, Black Wall Street was very well run.
Keep in mind, the domestics spoken of were actually blacks working for other blacks. The average income of black families in the area exceeded what the minimum wage is today. These were people who were actually living in the lap of luxury.
Black Wall Street was its own city. It was a booming self-contained community, and many of the residents lived in luxury. Greenwood Avenue had been lined with hotels, restaurants, furriers, and even an early taxi service using a Ford Model T. For that time, that would be like driving a modern-day Bentley.
This is actually a picture of the Stratford Hotel, owned by...
Well, we just wanted to show you a little clipping of how possible it can be what it used to be for blacks here in the United States. And I want to just make one note before I introduce my guest to you again, is that the average American home, the average American white home, I should say, makes $171,000. This was reported just last week, to what the average black home, $17,000. Now, unfortunately, whites bring home 10 to 1 people of color. And so if you look then, back when they had Black Wall Street and other color, we were wealthy. So without further ado, I want to have my guest introduce you, Mr. Nelvin Daly. Could you please, Mr. Nelson Davy, and then also Mr. Michael Campbell Sr. And thank you so much both for coming on my show today.
Thanks for having us, Dr. Butler. I really appreciate it.
So, Mr. Davy, I want you to first tell us a little bit about speak a little about that film, and then more so, how can we, as Black individuals, start creating wealth?
Oh man, I mean that's kind of one of the most inspiring stories I think about our story in this country is what they were able to build. It's also one of the most disheartening ones to see us raise ourselves up from our bootstraps, as they always say that we need to do, and then be torn down. So, you know, that it also what it shows me is that if we did it once before, we could definitely do it again. It provides a model for us to be able to know how to move in the future, and also to be a little bit more prudent, you know, as we move forward, as we make decisions to know what else is possible and learn from the history of the past. So that's awesome. That's one of our inspiring videos. And I believe you said, what was your second question, Dr. Butler? I missed that. Sorry.
In the American market today, how can we get back to where we were before?
Oh, it's a very, very, you know, complex answer. But the Bible says, you know, with faith we could, move mountains, but it didn't say that we couldn't do it one stone at a time. So I just think it's just going to take a lot of hard work, a lot of dedication, a lot of trust with one another, just a very high level things, you know, trust with one another. I think for a lot of us, you know, in the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce, we work with a lot of businesses. And the one thing I see is that although there are systematic things that are, you know, kind of that are holding us back, there are a lot of things that our business could do from a foundational and fundamental level to help us bring us forward. One is just, you know, a mindset. You know, we've kind of been, you know, 400 years in this country, you know, been held down, been taught the wrong things, you know, oppressed. So one thing we have to do is change our mindset first. I think that's one of the big important things that we have to do is change our mindset. That's education. That's reading books. That's you know, looking at who we we in our networks, who are our friends, you know, those some of the things we have to do. Joining, organizing, coming together. I think that was one of the biggest things, was joining forces with the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce. It opened up my network tremendously and opened up my eyes to a lot of opportunities. It led me to meet you, Dr. Butler. It got me the opportunity to go back home and visit the continent. So I just think those are some of the most important things we can do. So mindset, you know, be conscious and intentional about your network and who you surround yourself with, and then join forces, join organizations like the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce, U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce, or any Chamber of Commerce that might be in your community, so you can join forces and add value. Don't just go there looking to see what you can get in it for yourself, but a lot of times we need everyone's help. So how can you add value? So those are some of the things I think are the fundamental things that we could do as a community to get us back to that point.
Wonderful, wonderful. Mr. Campbell, can you tell us a little bit about what you think of that movie? And then I want you to also answer, how far behind are people from Afro descendants in entrepreneur and business and the formation of the longevity in the marketplace? How far behind are we?
Yeah, thanks for having me once again, Dr. Butler. I really appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and the audience. And, I also am thankful to be here with brother Nelson. And my takeaway from that is, it's amazing to see what we were able to accomplish when we were left to our own, to build and develop for ourselves. And it was very impressive, but it's bittersweet because we know what happened when we were able to build up what we built up. We had opposing forces in the form of white supremacists and the government that conspired to take it all away. And that happened over and over and over again throughout the history of being here. And, I think at a certain point, it kind of caused a sense of fear, to build up. Because maybe there's an apprehension that it'll be taken away again. And, somewhat, we kind of got beaten down somewhat. But the beautiful thing is the children that were birthed from that, and those of us who have come along afterwards, generations afterwards, and who still have that same entrepreneurial spirit and the desire to rekindle that flame that once existed in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I think it all starts with conversations like this and organizations like the one that Brother Nelson mentioned, the Black Chamber of Commerce and, other organizations and kind of creating organizations as well amongst ourselves, because the truth is that it's power in numbers, so in order to be successful, you have to have strength in numbers, and if we can all come together on a one accord, we know the massive results we can get from it because we've done it over and over again, as late as, the Barack Obama presidential election, no matter how we feel about it after the fact, in order to get him there. It took a massive amount of us to come together on one accord, and we felt something and moved us, and we actually made history and moved that mountain that Nelson spoke about earlier. So, yeah, we want to move financial mountains because it's important to build generational wealth for our families and actually be able to recreate this Tulsa, Oklahoma effect, Black Wall Street effect, and so we are behind. I think your question was, are we behind, or how far we are behind? And yes. The fact is we are behind, and in order to catch up, I think we can do so much ourselves, but we also have to not be too hard on ourselves and understand that the government has some responsibility in helping us catch up, you see, because we talk about trying to put our twos and fews together in order to close that racial wealth gap, but it's almost impossible with the twos and fews that we do have. We've been stripped financially of that ability. And you're talking generations that have gone, that others have had the ability to build on top of each other. That's compounding the effects of the gap. So we must work together. I think we have to definitely form a organization. We have to get like-minded and come together as a people. But we also have to keep the pressure on the government to aid and assist us in doing this. And that which the government is not willing to do, we will do like we always have done, is do for self. But we cannot think that we'll be able to achieve these massive leaps and bounds without the help of the government. So we are behind, but it's not our fault. And we must do everything we can to catch up, including keeping the pressure on our government to make up for what was taken away.
You saying that note, like today we were supposed to talk about reparations, and it sounds like you're talking about more like reparations from the government, and we will be discussing that next week. But I wanted to bring on to today about actually giving some ideas and telling people how we can start, because one of the things that some of our viewers have called in about is we reparations is going to be a political issue. We know we'll get there, but once we get there, what do we do with that money? And that's why I wanted the two of you on here. Can you guys tell me a little bit about how you started your businesses and what were some of the challenges? And for people and for our listeners who have an idea, or even if they don't have an idea, how do you create idea, and how did you really start your businesses? Mr. Davey, could you start and let us know, and then Mr. Campbell, could you fall right back in and tell us a little about your businesses and really how you started them and what gave you the push?
Yeah, definitely. I think what really gave me the push was just kind of, I mean, most people. I mean, I'm on the borderline of a millennial. I'm kind of the elder in the millennial age group, But I kind of followed the format. I did the right things. I went to school. I got my education. Made sure I focused on my grades. Got a good paying job. Worked 12-hour days sometimes, just to wake up and work another 12-hour days. And then I'm just looking around me and I'm looking at my student loan debt that I've gotten from being 5 years in school. And I'm realizing, I'm looking around, I'm like, this is kind of a slow track to nowhere. So, I come from a generation, my father was a farmer, who worked himself, hired men, and I saw some of those examples around me. My uncle, he started his own business in my neighborhood, created a apartment complex in Jamaica. So I had some examples to show me that, it can be done and what it looks like, what it's done. And I've seen them with the personal freedom they were able to obtain. And the way I started my business is honestly, and being in the Chamber of Commerce, this is one thing I see a lot of times, is that we get stuck in the idea phase. So, we have an idea. We're always refining idea. We write one business plan, two business plans, three business plans. And then really and truly, the way I got started is I just got started. I looked it up. What do you need to do to start an insurance brokerage? I leveraged my network. My friends who were in fact, a friend of mine who was in the industry introduced me, explained the opportunity, how the cash flow and the business works. And I just got started. We started with a little bit of business. And then as we went, when you grow, you learn. One of the other things I think was important is I leveraged my network, right? A lot of my friends went to school. They have high paying jobs where people are paying them 6-figure salaries to do their work. They have some visions of being entrepreneurs themselves. So I hired them. I worked with them. I utilized their time to help them get, and it helped us grow leaps and bounds. That was typically, in our culture, that's what we do, right? We take lemons and we make lemonade. We take the leftover parts from Master's Meal and we make, gourmet meals, some of the best things. So that's what we did. We just took different pieces, utilized technology. I think that's a big thing in this generation, is that with technology, you can compete with some of the largest companies out there. I don't know how long that's going to last, but as it stands right now, you could definitely compete with some of the largest companies out there. One of the analogies I use is And for business nowadays, it's more so like guerrilla warfare. One time it was, the Industrial Revolution, where it was these big, large companies, big, large armies. But the toughest times they had is when they had to encounter nations that, enacted in guerrilla warfare. When it comes to business, you got to do the same thing. You got to be mobile. You got to be agile. You got to be able to pivot real quick. You got to be able to utilize technology. So those are some of the things that we use in our business to kind of get a footing, get going, and then we were able to compete with some of the largest companies and competitors that we have out there.
Mr. Campbell.
Nice. Yeah. Like Nelson said, I heard something that you said, Brother Nelson, and it goes hand in hand with what I'm about to say. I'm a second generation realtor and insurance broker. My father's been in the business of real estate and insurance over 60 years. He'll be 80 years old on Sunday. Self-made person. I've watched him build up an empire and run it from the day one when I was born. That's all I've ever known him to do. So to tie into what Nelson was saying about his father and his uncles, these are entrepreneurs. These are people who model the behavior, right, for us to give us the courage and confidence to do that which we're doing now, which is venturing off on our own to be independent business owners ourselves. And I tell people all the time that, I think the difference between individuals who are comfortable being an employee, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's a certain sense of security that comes from being an employee that you don't get that security as an independent business owner. So in order to have the courage to go out there on your own and build your own business, sometimes you need that model for you. There's enough people out here modeling the behavior of going out and finding a job. Go to school and go get a good job. We've heard that ever since we were children, and so many of us have done that. But what I realized when I did it is that I wasn't guaranteed to keep the job. As they say sometimes, as Black folks, we're the first hired, the last hired, and the first fired. And what really struck a chord with me one time is when I lost a job. All because I inquired about what I could do to advance myself. I was doing work, completing my work in a timely fashion, and wanted to be trained to do another task that they told us was in the future for us. And when I inquired about that opportunity, I was told that maybe they needed to trim the fat. And shortly thereafter, they told me I didn't need to return anymore. Wow. So, that really hurt me because I had a family, and I still have a family, and I have had a roof over my head that I was paying for, and I never wanted to be in that vulnerable position again. To have someone give me something in the form of a job and take it away when they want to. So from that day on, I wanted to make sure that regardless of what happened, I wanted to have my own business going on the side and ultimately make that my main job. So I started from there to get my insurance license as well as my real estate license, and then just went on from there and began to build. And then when my father retired, I started my own brokerage and my own company. I worked under him for 20 plus, about 20 years, being mentored. So I had the confidence when he retired that I can do it. And so I think, unfortunately, for a lot of our folks, they don't have that in their lives. I'm thankful for what I was blessed to experience, but I know a lot of us don't have that experience. So it's easy to talk about it from our perspective because we had someone model it, but it's a little more difficult to do it. But my advice is don't be scared. Even if you have a day job, start something on the side, and it doesn't cost a lot to start a business. So be encouraged to do it, and gradually, that job you start on the side, that business you start on the side will take over and generate more income than you earn in your day job, because I can guarantee you they're never going to pay you enough to retire and live the lifestyle that you like to live. You're only going to get that by building it yourself.
I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yes, we
Yes,
can hear
sir.
you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Let me make a statement first. Ecclesiastes 10:19 says, "A feast is made for laughter, and wine maketh merry, but money answereth all things." And I've always said that doesn't make sense. Are there things that money really does answer, and there are things that money does not answer?
I could. That's an interesting quote. One of the things that I was preparing for this, just thinking about wealth in our community, and talking about mindset, is that we tend to think of wealth as money, right? But and honestly and truly, and I have a client of mine who told me a story. He was in Afghanistan in the '80s. He was doing really well for himself, and then with everything, '70s or '80s. But with wars that were going on, overnight, he said his wealth was completely eliminated overnight, literally overnight. He said he woke up one morning, government has switched, and all the currency that we're using was completely devalued. He had nothing. He had to flee and escape. So to your point, money in itself is fleeting, right? But one of the things that I think that we need to understand is that your health is wealth as well. So if if you're mentally strong, you have mental health, you have physical health in any regards. If you can walk, then you have wealth in itself right there. So I think that you can't only just be focused on just only money. And I don't think money is really the answer to just all things. I think if we're talking about wealth, we have to talk about wealth in every aspect of your life.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Nelson. Now we're halfway in, and callers, please
Hmm.
know the call-in number is on your screen. If anyone wants to call in, if you have any questions, it's a live show. You can call in live now at 571-612-0496. So please, if you'd like a question to ask of either one of our panelists, please do call in. But I want to go and I know I have two gentlemen on the phone are here on the call with me. Now, I want to ask a question about women. Now, I've had a lot of women on my show, and I'm trying to get more of those on because women are of life. We're an essential part of the business. And one of the things we want to know is, what is the need for small business and especially a women small business center, since there is such a disparity, and especially with Black owned women businesses and men. So could you give us some thoughts for creating for women, Black owned women businesses?
Yeah.
That's a good one. I think the challenges, and this is something that I'll be completely transparent. I'm starting to understand. I have a 2-year-old daughter, so I'm starting to gain a unique understanding of what it means to be a woman and what it means to be a Black woman. I mean, it shouldn't have taken this long to come to some of these realizations, but God works in mysterious ways. But I think the challenges are unique amongst women. I think they have their own unique challenges, and I think sometimes they have to their challenges are very different than us as men, and that's the second level of discrimination that they have to fight. Is one, just being Black, and then two, when they exist in the space with men, that's a different one. So I think it's extremely necessary. I had a woman, a very successful woman entrepreneur, tell me that, I'm inviting her to networking events, and she's trying to explain to me why she doesn't go to these networking events. And she says, usually she comes to these events and, it's mostly, distracting. Everyone's interested in her. She was an attractive woman. They're interested in her as an attractive woman, and they're not taking her seriously as a businesswoman. So, it was disheartening to hear that. And it opened my eyes to some of the unique struggles that women have to face in business. So I think it's extremely necessary. And I mean, us as as black brothers, I think we have to support them. I think we have to be aware of that, of what they have to fight, and we have to, lift them up, and make sure that we create a safe space for them to pursue their dreams and goals. I mean, that's what I want for my daughter. So, I should want that for every other woman.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
well, we
agree.
have a call on the line before I answer. So we have a caller. Caller, can you state your name, where you're calling from, and your question, please? And if it's for both panelists or one panelist, caller, are you there? Caller, are you there? Well, once we get that caller back online, Mr. Campbell, do you have anything to add on to what Mr. Davey has said about just for the women? Because there are a lot of challenges, and me being a woman on this show and hosting this
Yeah.
show with my co-host, I can truly feel and have experienced exactly some of the things that Mr. Davey had said. You know, being a black-owned woman,
Right.
business owner myself.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's doubly hard as a black woman to be, successful in the business world, because you're dealing with a few more dynamics, like Brother Davey mentioned, whether it's being, hit on, harassed, or, not taken serious, but it's also about the environments that we play in, right? So it's important to know where
Can you
you
hear me?
can thrive at, and to get involved in those lanes. Like you say, run your own race, right? So if you're a woman, find a lane that's your lane, and run that race, and face the adversity, but persevere. And I think as black men, we definitely have to do better at being more involving and welcoming of black women. I know for myself, I love to try to work with black women and bring them into business with me, because one, I feel like they have abilities that we don't have as black men, to be able to reach heights. And also I understand the struggle to a certain degree, being a black person, not necessarily a black woman, but having a black mother, having a black wife and black daughter. I want to be a conduit for my sisters, and to be able to help bring them up, to give them that self-esteem sometimes, to know that they can be, just as big in business. For instance, I'm in the financial services industry, and I tell women all the time, black women especially, the financial services industry is one of the number one industries for women, because women are killing it in the business, and they're making money hand over fist in that field. So, and it's a field where you can be independent, you can run your own brokerage, you can really, build out your own platform and do very well. So, in the corporate world, we're always going to face those challenges of, being discriminated against and harassed. But I try to provide a safe space for my sisters to be able to come work with me, and me to show them everything I can show them, whether it's real estate based or insurance based, and to encourage them to do their own thing in that field. So yeah, that's my take on it.
Well, wonderful. I think we got the caller back online. Um, Caller, can you please state your name, your first name only, and where you're calling from, and your question, please?
Yes, I will. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready.
Okay, we're ready, caller. Can you hear the caller, everyone?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Yes.
hear him.
Okay, go ahead,
Okay,
caller,
they're
please.
talking right now.
Oh no, they're not talking. It's a delay in your
Larry
line, so
from
just go ahead, caller.
California.
Okay, we have a call from California calling in. Your
My
question?
question is, yes,
Okay, caller, you can say your question because you have a
yes. My
delay on your
question
end when
is,
you're watching
well,
it.
first, I'd like to thank Dr. Butler and both the guests. I think their topics are inspiring for those who wish to enter business. But for those who can't enter business, is there any advice on what we can do right now as Black people to build wealth, such as investment clubs and those types of ideas? And I'll take the answer offline.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for your call. Now, okay, my panelists, did you guys get that question?
Right now as Black.
Yes.
Yeah, we got that.
Okay, so you guys want to go ahead and it says you guys both can respond because you might have different answers, but Mr. Dave, you want to start responding for that question? What can we do now?
Yeah, what
And
you could do now,
investments
and right, yeah, and I mean, first, let me say, that's a reality for a lot of people. Whether you can't enter in business or that's just not something that you're interested in. But there's definitely a lot you can do. Mike here is in the insurance, and I'll let him talk about that. But from a financial standpoint, from the basics, I think what you can do is you can invest in the market. And I know, a lot of times, we think that, the market's, it's fixed or it's only for those that are rich. But to be honest, there's gains you can make in the market just by educating yourself on simple concepts like, compounding interest and how something like that works. The other thing I think we have to start teaching our community is time is our best asset in any of those financial. Time is important in insurance. Time is important when you're investing. So start as young as you can. And if you haven't started young, there's a proverb that goes, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time to plant a tree is right now. So is start investing right now. One of the things, and this is just advice, is to use an index fund in the S&P 500. It's simple. It gives you diversification across many different asset classes. And again, that's a S&P index 500 ETF. I think that's something that very simple. You don't have to follow the stock market on a daily basis. I think it's also important to do it periodically, not just do it one time. I think that's where you're going to get all your gains. Is if you just put $500 in there one time and then you think, this should be able to grow. I think it's consistent investing, and I think the most important thing that you can do is learn to live below your means. I think that's just the basic fundamental thing you can do. That's the first thing you do is learn to live below your means. I mean, we live in a consumer-driven society. So there's always something in front of our face or something that's trying to get our money out of our hands. So, learning to live below your means is an important habit to build, and learning to invest and save on a continuous, habitual basis, as I think those are the two most important things you can do right now to start building wealth. And I mean, like I said, Mike, you're in insurance. I think you have a wide. You've talked about this. You have a wide knowledge base on this topic as well.
Yeah. Thanks. And that's what you just said right now. It was right on point. I mean, that was excellent advice that you gave, and I want to piggyback on that by saying that we have to invest wisely, but it's also about financial literacy, right? And knowledge, right? You have to understand how to invest. A lot of times we want to get rich quick, and if we can't see the possibility of getting rich quick, then we're no longer interested. And then the time factor comes in, and next thing you know, you look up and it's 20 years later, and that financial seed that you didn't plant 20 years ago, you missed out on all of the fruit that it could have bore for you. So that's correct. You want to get going now if you didn't start already, and if you have a group of like-minded individuals to invest with, I believe that would be the route to go, because it's encouraging when you have others that are doing the same thing with you. So when you have a economic economics going on, it's fun, it's exciting, more so than just investing by yourself. But if you can't get that group, then you do it by yourself, but you do it wisely. So I'll give an example. I probably say about 7, 8 years ago, I had a vision to invest with a group of 50 people, you know, because I knew people didn't have a lot of money to invest, but I knew that if we can start somewhere, it would snowball into something great. So what I wanted to do was take 50 individuals, meet on a monthly basis, pay dues of $100 each time, which would be $5,000 each month. And then over time, talk about what we would invest in, and then vote on those options and actually pursue some of those investments and see where it goes from there. Um, Long story short, we weren't able to keep it going. We met a few times and had discussions, but I just don't think it was a situation where I had enough like-minded individuals. So I wind up scrapping that. But if you're able to accomplish that, that once again
Mhm.
goes back to what I'm talking about, power in numbers. Because now you're talking about $100 a month. If you take $100 a month, I mean, you can accomplish something over time, but you have to start early. In this insurance business, if you start with a kid, a child, and you start investing $100 a month, by the time that child gets 25 years old, they will have a lot of money. And sometimes, in some cases, by the time they reach retirement, they can have over $1 million. And that's just simple investing. That's compound interest. So it's a lot to explain in answering that question, but I'll say this. Start it. You want to invest now, and you can do that by just putting away small amounts. But don't just put it in the savings account. Because if you've looked at your savings account and you know the interest rate you're getting, you'll see that you're getting, less than 1%, maybe even half of 1%. So that's not a good place to put your money if you want it to grow. You need time. There's three rules to money. There's the time element, there's the inflation element, and then there's the tax element. And so when you understand those three things, then you can be able to grow your money in a timely fashion. And so, yeah, I say you don't have to start a business to invest, but you got to invest wisely. So there's such thing called the 7702 plan. I won't go into it in too much detail right now, but in short, it is an IUL policy. It's an insurance policy that serves as like a life insurance retirement plan. And if you set something like that up for yourself, you can be able to grow your money and live off that money in retirement, and then still be able to pass along wealth to your children upon your death, and give them a running start. And you show them how you did it, and you encourage them to do the same at an earlier age. And then this is how you start to create generational wealth. And sometimes have these trust fund babies, and which is
Right.
not a bad word. We need more of those in our community.
Definitely.
Now we have another
Thank you.
caller on the line. Actually, we have lots of callers.
But
I don't know if we're going to be able to take all the calls. We have another caller on the line. Caller, can you please state your name, where you're calling from, and your question, please? And remember, if you're watching your TV, they can hear you right now live. There is a delay on your end, so just say your name, your question, where you come from, your question. Caller, please. Caller, are you there?
Yeah, this is James calling in from New York.
Okay, go ahead, James. They can
Yeah,
hear you.
so
We can
my
hear you,
question
James.
is for
James
both
from New York.
panelists, and I
Okay.
want to know from both panelists how important is it when you look at it from sales and marketing as an entrepreneur? Which one do you see is more important? Is it sales or marketing? And how much effort do you put into sales to drive revenue to grow your business? Thank you.
Oh man. Mike, if you
Thank
don't
you,
mind me
Vice
taking this
President.
one, I think what James, thanks for the question. That's an important one. One of the things that I'm learning, just being in a leadership role in the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce, that our businesses, there's fundamental things that our businesses don't, take the time to learn. And one of those things I had to learn myself is sales. Whether
Mm.
it's you're a business owner and you feel like I don't want to beg anybody for any money. I don't want to be annoying to, you know what I mean? Everyone kind of doesn't like the sales guy. But sales is the lifeblood of your organization. The best quote I heard is if you're not willing to promote yourself, then no one else is willing to promote you. So being willing to get out there and sell yourself and your product, I think, is hugely important. I mean, you need capital, you need money. That's the quickest way to raise capital, is to be able to sell. And that's a skill that I had to learn, like everyone else. I think marketing is also hugely important. I think they're more so, they go hand in hand.
Yeah.
What happens a lot of times, people start a business and they invest so much money in marketing and doing ads. I don't care how good your marketing is and how great it is, which it is important. It is very important. The deal comes in, someone has to close it. Someone has going to have to close that deal. So I think they work hand in hand. One of the best terms I heard was smarketing, which is
Mm.
sales and marketing put together. I think it's difficult to have one without the other. But that's a great question. But I think both of those things in our businesses, a lot of times we just kind of skip over them, or we just focus on the marketing side of it because it just is kind of the fancy and the front facing forward one. You spend a lot of money on advertisements, on your logo, on swag, and you forget to actually close some deals. So I would say that. Good question though.
Yep. Yep.
And that was for both panelists. Mr. Campbell, do you have anything to add?
I'd say exactly what Nelson just said. You wanna focus on both, but sales is important because I mean, if you're spending all of your money marketing, but you're not selling anything, you're gonna be out of business real soon.
Well, so
So you have to make sure one that you have a solid product, and so
mhm.
make sure that you're working with something as opposed to sometimes we get these ideas and we think they're the greatest ideas on earth, but the market determines whether or not you have a good idea,
True.
so you have to get out there and actually sell it. And I think sometimes we're afraid to be salesmen or salespeople. We want to do everything but sell. You want to
Right.
hype it up and everything, and then hope that you sell. But if you can sell it without doing a lot of marketing, you'll be even better off once you
When you get the
infuse
market.
marketing into it. So know your craft, know your product, make sure it's a good product, and actually be very, very professional and a good service provider. Focus on customer service, and I think you can hold some of those dollars back on marketing. If you can do that, and then when you want to grow and expand, that's when you put that money out there. One of the well, on the marketing side, I'll say this since we're talking quotes. They say, what do they say? They say a business with no sign is a sign of no business. So so you have to and you don't want to be a secret agent. In this financial services business, I have people that I bring in. We do leadership development and whatnot. And a lot of times people come into business and they don't want to tell anybody that they're in the business. And I tell them, don't be a secret agent. I mean, if you're going to be a secret agent, nobody's going to know that you have anything to offer. You know,
Right.
uh, we say if you have a restaurant, if you start a restaurant, who you going to tell? You're going to tell everybody. You want to tell everybody to come try the food and check it out. So word of mouth is the biggest form of marketing, and it doesn't cost anything.
I'd like to
Yeah.
make a
Well,
comment.
I'm going to tell you, we have actually 5 more minutes, and I'll tell you. So unfortunately, we can't take any more calls, but we do have callers who tried to call in. My email is there on the screen, callers. If you have any questions or concerns, or you want to either contact either one of our panelists today, please email me and I will get your information to them. And I will put you in direct communication with either Nelson Davy or either Michael Campbell or both, if you want to have both contact. But before we go, I mean, because there was so many questions. Someone talked about marketing. You talked about marketing, but could you quickly tell us about the need for using social media as your marketing platform in the business world today? And also, just quickly, is an SBA loan easy or difficult? And how do you obtain an SBA loan when you are in these times right now? And do remember, we will be having SBA. We're going to be doing a forum on helping people learning how to create wealth. So we will be having the SBA on hopefully in the within the next month, and we're going to be doing a series of really how giving people tips on how to start a business and resources to start a business. Um, so I don't want to take more time because we only have a few more minutes, but I want you guys both to just how important is social media? How can we use social media as our marketing tool, as well as how difficult it is to get an SBA loan at this point in time?
Go ahead, Brother Nelson. You knocked that out the park.
So I'll take the SBA portion, and I'll you can touch on the social media. So
Sure.
the SBA loan, I will say,
And can you tell what an
there's a
SBA
lot of
loan is?
Small Business Administration. So that's a agency within the U.S. government that's created to support small businesses. And anytime you're dealing with the government, you're dealing with a lot of red tape, a lot of paperwork, a lot of requirements. They may call you in a week, in one random week, and say, hey, they want to come in and they want to see some of your financials. But that leads me to interesting.
I think we're having a computer
or
problem with. There we go.
okay,
You
you
were cut
have
off
the
there for a
debt. You
second.
have debt. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you guys hear me now? Does everyone hear me?
I
Yeah.
can hear.
We can hear you now.
Yeah, you have debt or you have equity, but in both of those sides, there's underwriting requirements, and underwriting is a fundamental part of business. And there's several things you could do to ensure that when it comes time to get an SBA loan or any type of loan in that matter, or even getting an investor, there's certain things you can do to ensure that you increase your chances of getting that. One is make sure that your credit is so you're credit worthy. Right? That means you paying your bills on time. You don't owe IRS any money. Jay-Z has a favorite quote of mine: "Pay your taxes. You're hustling backwards. You got to pay your taxes." I can't tell you how many people I come across that feel like they don't have to file their business taxes, and they're 3, 4, 5, sometimes even more years behind with filing taxes. That affects your credit worthiness. Um, Two is just keeping proper business record. You can, because it's going to tell you, one, it's going to give you the feedback and the numbers that you need to know how your business is doing, and an underwriter is going to love you if you can show several years of profitability. How much you're spending, and also you're paying your taxes. So it is difficult to get an SBA loan, but those are some of the fundamental things that you could do in a business if you're already started, to start cleaning up your credit and getting a track record of showing that you're making money and you're gaining progress. There's some other things like just making sure you have certain things in place, like insurance that can help secure their investment. So insurance for you as a key man, or insurance for some of your equipment and things like that. So from SBA loan, I hope that helped. Helps with that question.
I think we're out of time.
Excellent.
I wanted to make a comment before we close. Two things. First, Dr. Butler, you didn't mention about the shirt you're wearing that says Gap Buster.
Oh, yes.
And
Well, I
the
did. I'll
second,
just quickly say I did start a business, but I started a nonprofit, which we didn't talk about today. So a nonprofit cannot really get small business loans. We have to write grants and generate funding. So this is if those people are interested in nonprofits, we will be having a forum on how to start a nonprofit, and versus doing, starting LLC, which is a limited liability corporation, or a sole proprietor corporation. We will have those meetings and those dialogues over the next couple of months so that people who really want to start a business can do so, whichever type of business they want. So I'm sorry, go ahead now. And what was the next thing now?
The other thing was, I don't know how many of, if all of you have Napoleon Hill on your bookshelf, and he was an Afro descendant, but he's not really pictured as that. But his quote is, set your mind on a definite goal and observe how quickly the world stands aside to let you pass.
That's right.
Boy.
Okay, that's all I had to say.
Nice.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. That's
No,
beautiful.
thank you. And Mr. Campbell, did you want to say any last words about the social media really quickly so we can wrap it up? And I want to thank Africa Today so much for allowing us this time again. Mr. Campbell, on the social media aspect.
Yeah, real quick, social media aspect, I think it's very important to have that social media presence because that goes back to marketing once again and branding yourself. And it doesn't cost you much of anything to just set up a presence on all of these different platforms. Now, if you want to take it a step further and actually do advertising and things of that nature, you may have to pay money, but you can get an internet presence going on, on your Facebook, on your Twitter, on your Instagram, and a plethora of other sites. But it's very important. It's something that we had to learn in our business, or even having your own website. It's important to have that because that's one of the first things that people are going to do when you say that you're in business. You say that you tell them the name of your business. A lot of times, I know I do it all the time. I'll go just look it up, online just to see what it looks like. And that'll give me some context right there. So not only do you want to have it up there, but you want to make it look professional. And with that being said, I also want to, take a quick second to plug my own little social media spots, and the Nelson, you do the same. I see Dr. Butler has Gapbuster Inc. right here in .org. But yeah, www.firebrandservice.com. That's our real estate site. And that's a website, and we're more than happy to talk with any and everybody about real estate and how to help you get into your first home or sell a home. We're over here in California, but we are expanding into different states. But I don't have any problem sharing information, even if you're located in a different state, and connecting you with some thorough professionals. So that's that. Excuse me. And Firebrand Realty at Firebrand Realty on Twitter. Excuse me?
Was that www.firebrand.com?
www.firebrandservice.com.
Firebrand Service.
Firebrand Service.
I'm trying to ask, can our producer just put that up really quickly? Firebrand Service.
Yeah,
and Nelson Wise, well, I text this in. Could you tell me yours, Nelson?
Yeah, so the best place to reach me, I usually engage with a lot of the business community on LinkedIn. So if you just look up Nelson Davey, and in combination with Hudson Benefits Consulting, like the Hudson River, Hudson Benefits Consulting, I'm looking forward to connect with you guys on LinkedIn. So the website and everything is on there.
You look much younger on the picture there. I didn't see you on LinkedIn. I said, this can't be, and that must be a college picture or something, man.
That was a couple years ago, man. I had a daughter.
About 20 years ago.
I had a daughter, and then some of these just started coming in when I just realized the stress that was ahead of me.
Tell me you got the COVID beard.
All right, so we have Mr. Campbell's website up. It's www.fireservicebrand.com.
No, Firebrand Service.
Oh, Firebrand Service. Oh, you should have texted me that one. Service. So we're Firebrand Service.
Yes.
And okay, so I'm so sorry about that. And Mr. Davies, they can reach you on LinkedIn.
Yep,
and
Nelson Davey.
And that's Nelson Davey. Davy.
Right.
not like Davies, I've been saying, Davy, Nelson Davies, and Link Davy. Look him up on LinkedIn and firebrandservice.com. And once again, if you guys want more information, please don't hesitate to email me at the email that was up on the website, ybutler@gapbusterinc.org, and I will definitely get you connected with either both or one of our panelists today, whichever one or both of them. And we want to thank Afrique today for this time today. And I'm so sorry this hour went so quickly. It was unbelievable how quickly it went. And I want to put one plug in. My husband today, Ikobe Yaboa, just got his license. He took his test today, and he is now a licensed insurance agent and under
Whoa.
Firebrand Services. He works with Mr. Campbell, and so he just got his license today. So I want to put a plug in for him, and you can contact him now. He's now a licensed agent, and we're so excited. So I guess I have to now get more involved in that and push his platform. But I want to thank you, my co-host. Is there anything you want to say before we sign off? I want to thank my panelists today. This has been very, very informative and refreshing, and I do want to have you back on again. Co-host,
Would love
my
to.
invisible man, close it off. Thank you.
Maybe somebody will have a question for the invisible man, like, why are you invisible? But
That's right.
We need each other. So please send your question to Dr. Butler and give us ideas for a program. Thank you so much, Afrique Today.
Yes.
Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today. Fogham. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com. Afrique Today, the best of digital TV. ESYDA returned to play summer clinics. Recreation, Tuesday and Thursday, 6 to 8 p.m. Travel team, EDP, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday. Time, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Free mask and water bottle. Register today at esyda.org. Email info@esyda. Phone 248-765-9369. Office 301-800-7848. Toll free 800-995-5532. Free registration for all summer clinics. All new players need buy uniforms. We're following COVID-19 soccer guidelines. Small group practice with 9 players and 1 coach. For more information, go to esyda.org.
Welcome to Afrique Today, your digital TV platform. You're watching Harriet Shangarai with Community Update. Here, we're going to be discussing important and vital information which you need to know and act upon so that our communities can be empowered with, we all know that knowledge is power, and this is what we want to convey, making sure that everyone is informed. We're going to start with census. Census is vital. We want to make sure everyone has completed their census. We'll share this information further with you during the week. We also want to talk about COVID-19. Making sure you are aware and know where to get the COVID tested. If you've been exposed or you believe you need a COVID test, you can call the helpline. We want to talk about reopening. As we discuss continuously, we have to continue wearing our masks. This is how we can prevent and minimize transmission. We also want to talk about hand washing. We also want to talk about social distancing. All these are measures that we can take as a community to make sure that we minimize exposure as well as transmission of COVID-19. We want to teach our young children and our family members the importance of hand washing. Nothing can beat that. Hand wash is vital. Whether there's COVID or not, we want to keep up with hand washing. We also want to talk about food distribution that are available in our communities. These are resources that come to our communities, whether during the week or over the weekend, but we want to make sure you're able to take advantage of them. We're also going to talk about opportunities such as job opportunity, grants for business and small business owner in our community, as well as how we can help you navigate various resources and also be able to be part of the community by volunteering your time. So together we can rise and healthy we remain as we navigate through the pandemic. Thank you very much. You're watching Afrique Today with Harriet Shangarai and Community Update. Thank you.
Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Afrique Today. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Afrique Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.afriquetoday.com.